Hello, third grade, and welcome to Chapter 5, Lesson 2, What are different parts of government? In this lesson, you're going to use your investigative skills to understand the branches of government. Reading and talking about how the government is set up will help you understand how the government works. So over here, we have a photo of people who are going to work in Washington, D.C. Let's read our primary source down here at the bottom. In their words, Theodore Roosevelt. We get in the habit of speaking of the government as if it were something apart from us. Now, the government is us. We are the government, you and I, and the government is going to do well or ill accordingly as we make up our minds that the affairs of the government shall be managed. So this was part of his speech that he gave in North Carolina in 1902. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. Of course, we're going to start with the information in the blue bars. Read President Bush's speech. What is he speaking about? Underline the words you think are most important in the speech. Discuss with a partner what President Bush thinks American citizens should do. Reread the sentences. Join the community of conscience. Do the hard work of freedom. That will define the states of our union. Who does President Bush mean when he says the community of conscience? Restate this in your own words. Use the notes section to answer any questions. Working for the future. Read what President George H. Bush said to his 1991 State of the Union address. Primary source, in their words, President George H.W. Bush. We have within our reach the promise of a renewed America. We can find meaning and reward by serving some purpose higher than ourselves, a shining purpose, the illumination of 1,000 points of light. The problem before us may be different, but the problems before us may be different, but the key to solving them remains the same. It is the individual who steps forward, and the state of our union in the union of each of us, one to the other, the sum of our friendships, marriages, families, and communities. We all have something to give. So if you know how to read, find someone who can't. If you've got a hammer, find a nail. If you're not hungry, not lonely, not in trouble, seek out someone who is. Join the community of conscience. Do the hard work of freedom. That will define the state of our union. And here we can see a photo of President Bush when he was president and when he was giving his speech, and he was president from 1989 until 1992. Now let's go ahead and jump into our next page that has our graphic organizer. Here we're exploring main idea and details. So this is something that we've talked about many times. The main idea is the overall message that's being given, and details are information that support that message. So in order to find the main idea and the key details, you read through the text once all the way through. Then you reread the text and look for the most important idea. Then look for an idea or an example that tells about the main idea. And then you do that again and look for another. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our first main idea here. Our main idea says Americans must help each other to make their country stronger. So some of the details that we found in our reading were that helping others makes us feel more positive and makes us feel better. The key to solving problems is for individuals to volunteer and work together. And another key detail is the condition of our country can be measured by the way that we work together. So those are three details that we can add over here under our main idea. Now for our next section, we're going to read in our textbook on pages 216 to 223. We're going to use our skills to find details that tell more about the main idea, and the main idea that they gave us here is that our government is divided into 3 branches. So we're going to put information about each of the 3 branches here. Let's go ahead and jump into our reading. The Constitution separates the powers of government across 3 parts or branches. The legislative branch is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. It makes our laws. The executive branch is led by the president and it carries out the laws. The judicial branch is the nation's court system. This branch interprets the laws and decides whether the laws follow the Constitution. Each branch has its own duties, but the 3 branches must work together. Who works in our government? In the United States, the people elect the government. Members of the government come from all over the country. They work in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. The people who work in our government promise to obey the Constitution. That means they cannot pass a law or act in any way that goes against the laws and the Constitution. They have to follow the laws that are written in the Constitution. Here we can see the crowds at the inauguration of President Barack Obama in 2009. So this is when he was named president. The branches of government. Each of the three branches of government has its own responsibilities. All three branches work together to make sure our country runs smoothly. The executive branch. The executive branch is a part of government that carries out the laws. The President of the United States is the head of the executive branch. The President leads our country. The President's main job is to make sure that the laws passed by Congress are being followed. The Vice President supports the President. The Vice President also leads the Senate. People in the executive branch get their jobs in different ways. The President and the Vice President are elected to serve for 4 years. The President appoints people to lead different departments of the executive branch. They are part of the President's cabinet. Cabinet members give advice to the President. When the President appoints cabinet members, the Senate must vote to approve them. This vote is called confirmation. And here we can see the President lives and works in the White House. Legislative branch. The legislative branch makes the laws for everyone to follow. In the federal government, Congress makes the laws for the entire country. Congress is made up of two parts, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Citizens elect members of Congress. Senators are elected every 6 years. Representatives are elected every 2 years. Each state has 2 senators, so there are 100 senators in the Senate. The House of Representatives is much bigger than the Senate. It has 435 members. The members of the representatives from each state is based on the size of its population. California elects the most representatives to the House of Representatives because it has the largest population of any state. So here so far we've talked about the executive branch and we've talked about the legislative branch. So you can put into your graphic organizer over here that the executive branch carries out the laws and it's made up of the president and his cabinet. And then for our legislative branch, we say the legislative branch makes the laws and it includes the Senate and the House of Representatives. Now we're going to discuss the judicial branch. The judicial branch is made up of federal courts and judges. They decide what the law means. They also make sure that the laws agree with the Constitution. The Supreme Court in our country is our country's most important court. The president nominates Supreme Court judges called justices. Justices must be approved by the Senate. There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. Justices serve until they resign, retire, or are removed from office. Justices of the U.S. Supreme Court make sure that our laws follow the Constitution. They hear important legal cases. Justices review cases from the state courts and decide which ones to hear. Supreme Court decisions are final. Here we have a picture of the Supreme Court building and the Supreme Court justices in 2019. Now, not all of these are still here. Unfortunately, some of them have been replaced. The Constitution limits the power of each branch. The branches must share power to make the government work. Each branch also has some power over the other branches. For example, the president can reject laws that Congress makes. The Supreme Court can decide that a law is not permitted under the US Constitution. This keeps Congress from having too much power. Congress can refuse to pass a law that the president wants. This limits the power of the president. So in our last box in our graphic organizer, we can discuss the judicial branch, and we know that the judicial branch makes the laws and they make sure that the laws follow the Constitution. Apologies. Our judicial branch makes sure that the laws follow the Constitution, and it includes the Supreme Court. So here we have the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. Now, each one, none of these 3 have power completely over the other. They're all used to check each other. So each one has some control over the other to help make sure that things are being done fairly. So now that you've completed all three of these main detail boxes, we're going to go ahead and jump into our next page and take a look at our writing, where it says write about it. Write and cite evidence. Write a paragraph telling which branch of government you think is most important. Give at least 2 reasons to support your opinion. Please make sure you're using lots of detail here. Make sure you're using complete sentences, that you're starting with capital letters, ending with punctuation, that you're checking your spelling and grammar as you go. And then next for our pull it together section, under where it says connect to the essential question, in what ways do you think the government can do a better job of working together? How can you help? So this is an opinion question. You can answer it any way you like that you feel would be a good way to make the government do a better job of working together. Again, remember to use complete sentences. That takes us to the end of this short lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.